Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's Iris here. A lot of you may be wondering, when do you know if you need to seek therapy? Well, there's no right or wrong answer to this question. I decided to see a therapist when I started feeling really depressed after a bad breakup during college. I noticed that it caused significant distress in my life, especially at school, and I avoided hanging out with my friends. I felt so overwhelmed that it seemed like nothing I would do could help me feel better. I lost all my motivation to exercise, do schoolwork, and even leave my apartment. It was the lowest point I've ever felt in my life, and that's when I knew I needed help, and the only thing that would make me feel better was to speak to a therapist. There's a lot of stigma towards going to therapy, along with the common misconception that only sick people see a therapist. For those of you who are hesitating whether counseling is right for you, let's talk about 6 signs it may be time to seek therapy. I hope that by the end of this video, it'll give you a better understanding of whether you need to begin looking for a therapist. The first sign is excessive worry. Anxiety is a part of life. We all worry about different things. A little anxiety is natural, normal, and even helpful. But how do you distinguish between normal worry and excessive worry? Well, normal worries are controllable. They cause you only mild distress, and they don't interfere with your job or social life. On the other hand, excessive worries are greatly distressing. You may feel like your anxiety is out of your control. You may worry for no reason at all, and worrying significantly interferes with your ability to do normal activities. Maybe it's also affecting your sleep at night because of ongoing rumination about your difficulties. A lot of young clients of mine struggle with anxiety. They're worried about not performing well at school. Some of them only get 6 hours of sleep every night because of how far they live from school. And they apologize for everything that might seem like an inconvenience for others. A lot of them also experience frequent panic attacks, and they struggle with making decisions on their own. If you're experiencing excessive worry, you may want to consider seeking professional help. The second sign is difficult life transitions. We all face hardships at times: the loss of a loved one, a move to a new city, the loss of a new job, a divorce. One common theme with all these difficulties is grief. Grief can be a long and challenging process to endure without the support of an expert. Not everyone needs therapy dealing with changes, but if you're having a tough time when difficulties arise, you may consider speaking to a therapist to help you process feelings and work through any lingering grief. I have a lot of clients that are in their elementary school years learning how to deal with their parents' divorce, and they have to get used to a new routine of rotating between staying at their mom's place for a week and then their dad's house for the next week. It's definitely confusing, and there are a lot of things that they need to process. The third sign is relationship issues. If you feel like you and your partner struggle with how to communicate effectively with each other, or you feel that your relationship has become unfulfilling, then seeking couples therapy can be a helpful step in repairing your relationship and getting your relationship back on track. Usually, some common issues that lead couples to seek therapy are when they're unable to have a productive disagreement and solve problems together, when they feel unheard or misunderstood by the other partner, or when they complain about feeling a lack of connection and intimacy. The therapist avoids taking sides, but strives to help each partner to understand how they can cultivate their relationship by building excellent communication skills and changing the usual dysfunctional patterns. I have a friend who sought couples counseling for a year, and he said he got a lot out of it, and it helped his relationship move in a more positive direction. If you and your partner are feeling stuck in your relationship, don't hesitate to seek couples therapy. You may hear a lot more about what your partner has to say, and there will be a lot less misunderstandings if you're determined to work toward having a more fulfilling relationship. The fourth sign is addictions, meaning if you're using drugs, alcohol, food, gambling, or sex to cope or help you feel better. If you're struggling with any type of addiction, you may be trying to cope with unresolved issues or feelings in unhealthy and inappropriate ways, and may benefit from receiving treatment as soon as possible. You may have a friend struggling with addiction. Just know that it's a serious illness. Addiction is a brain disease that rewires the cerebral cortex, resulting in poor judgment and impulse control for people. I have a friend who feels lost and directionless at the moment, and he started drinking and taking drugs a lot more lately. People struggling with addiction may want to distract themselves from making real changes to their daily life while pretending that they're okay. For example, during my college days, I remember seeing a lot of my friends binge drinking at parties to the point they black out. and they wouldn't remember a single thing that happened the next day. Alcohol and marijuana are two main substances that college students have easy access to. And a lot of addicts may be in denial because they may be telling themselves they're doing it just to have fun, relieve stress, or forget about their feelings. And this is one of the major reasons why people don't reach out for help. They think that just because they can still go to school or work the next day, they're fine. Additionally, people think that those struggling with substance use disorder only require willpower to beat the addiction. Well, it's actually not that simple. The brain sends signals of powerful and intense cravings, which are accompanied by compulsion to use. That's why these brain changes can be extremely difficult to quit, and often a treatment program is required. It's also common to see people with addiction having another coexisting disorder and other underlying issues that are left unresolved. However, it's important to note that people with addiction can recover. When I was still in grad school, I attended Alcoholics Anonymous, Sex and Love Anonymous, and Overeating Anonymous for class purposes. It was a really eye-opening experience for me, and I learned so much from hearing everyone speak about their stories and how proud they are to have recovered from their sickness. Everyone seemed to be great friends with each other, and it was like seeing a family gather together. I can see how each of them are providing one another the support that they need. The fifth sign is trauma or abuse. If you've experienced any type of traumatic event like chronic illness, being a victim of a crime or accident, or stuck in an abusive relationship and it's left untreated, it can have a negative impact on your ability to make your own decisions, form healthy relationships, and experience joy or happiness. Definitely consider finding a therapist to talk to in order to process unresolved feelings. I remember I had a client who suffered multiple traumas by the age of 8. She was at her house when someone barged in and robbed her place. She was sexually abused, and she saw her alcoholic father come home drunk, covered in blood. Clearly, she's very traumatized, and she has trouble making friends at school because everyone thought she was bossy and two-faced. And her mom said she was manipulative. She always needed to be in control, and she's also parentified, meaning that she was forced to grow up too fast. She was treated like an adult because of her alcoholic father, and she was given the responsibility to take care of her younger brother. A lot of people may not know, this may be how trauma is presented in some people. The need to stay in control all the time, and inability to form healthy relationships and attachments. The last sign, number 6, is uncontrollable sadness, hopelessness, anger, or thoughts of suicide. You may be dealing with depression if you're experiencing a loss of energy, feeling overwhelmed, or no longer finding pleasure in activities. Maybe you feel like you're not being your typical self, and you feel off. You may also be eating or sleeping more or less than usual, and prefer to be alone instead of interacting with your friends and family. I definitely felt all of these things before I reached out to talk to a therapist. So my suggestion is to see if you encounter any of these signs that I mentioned earlier. People struggling with depression can feel really alone, and they can't just snap out of it. If at any point these feelings intensify and you question whether life is worth living or not, and you have thoughts of suicide or death, know that you're not the only one, and people do feel that way sometimes. It's okay to reach out to talk to a mental health professional. And those are the 6 signs it may be time to seek therapy. Whether you need to go to therapy definitely differs from person to person. Some people may benefit from going to therapy, but not everyone needs to see a therapist, and that's okay. Just remember, don't feel ashamed if you need professional help. Therapy is a safe space for you to process your feelings. You can talk it out and get an unbiased opinion. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you liked the video and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.